Welcome to a new test and teardown video. This is the KN, also known as Knud Nielsen CFC80A. It's a 1.3 gigahertz communications frequency counter. And the full manual is of course available at peel.dk, because he collects all the funny things from the good old days. The first little sentence here from the manual, you gotta see this one. So this is the world's most advanced. Aren't you just impressed? And this one is upgraded. This is not just the oven version. No. This is the receiver version, or it is upgraded later maybe. So here is a ferrite antenna, and you can turn on and off the antenna or the receiver or something like that. And then there's a built-in long wave receiver, and it locks some oscillators to this frequency band. But of course this transmitter is not working anymore, so that means we can't really use any of the receiver stuff. So I hope there is a way to disconnect all this. There's a little bit of service we need to do there. And oh, look at that, serial number of 244. It's probably easy to open this thing. There's some way I haven't yet seen, but I will figure this out in a second. This is some of the things that I really love about poking around with old equipment. So we have these little plastic parts here. So you pull this away, and then you see a screw here, but this is not the screw you need. No. You need to stick a screwdriver in this hole and then pull out this part. And there you have it. The screws for the top and the bottom. Oh, we even got a little bit of screws missing. Well, that is the way. It feels a little bit like one of those IQ challenges. So let's look a little bit inside the world's most advanced frequency counter. So what have we got here? A really nice double-sided circuit board that occupies the entire case area. And this model comes in a mains battery and battery charge version. So we have all sorts of, you can see here, mounting variants. So this is the battery model only. And up in this area here, see again, battery model again. It's also marked like that. And that will be the local power and charge. We got, see again here, some little select for normal or battery. And okay, this one is of course broken. I think I have a whole bag of these somewhere. And the fuse here is loose. And then mains voltage just seems to go directly to the transformer inputs like that. So this means the transformer is of course charging no matter what all the time. There's some standby. Maybe also the oven is running. See, there's a transistor that was desoldered here. So maybe that is a little repair attempt. No, it's a trimmer that was removed from this area. I don't know exactly why this is the case. Also, it's a little bit funny. So this is the crystal oven. Maybe we can, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, yeah, look at that. See, if we push this, then we can. Oh, it also says crystal oven, and there's a little heater, and there is a temperature sensor. Wow, this is done really nice. I think I will leave it open like that for now, because I want to measure the temperatures. There's also, look at this area here with all the dust. Why is it that we have all this dust right there? Oh, and again, the world's most advanced. Got some wires hanging here, and this circuit board was brutally cut to make room for this switch. And the switch was already pre-drilled and pre-marked here on the back, so this is not some after modification. And that will be the whole receiver unit. It also says here frequency standard receiver board, and all this we can't use for anything at all because there is no such transmitters, and it's really packed with a lot of electronics, to be honest. And we got some ICs up here that's driving the multiplex display, and this whole board right here is the pre-amplifier. Maybe also a little bit of divide this out of that. Maybe we can find some counters. Yes, here we go. 7490, like that. So of course we got some counters and a little bit of flip-floppy something right here, right? And all this is, so this is directly soldered out here. Oh, we can't, let's get some light. Can you imagine the way that you assemble this? By solder, and then you can't really do a lot more. This is probably an input fuse, so that is also good. I hope we don't need to replace any of those switches. But, well, so far I think we can actually just... Oh, this is not loose, okay. We can just power it up and see what happens. So let's try and do that. Here is the schematic from the manual. This is all the counter logic and all the little ICs and good things. And if we zoom in on the top left corner, we can see there is a big all-in-one counter chip that's also doing the display, multiplexing, and everything like that. So there's an external BCD to a 7-segment decoder driver. And this is, of course, because you can also use this type of counter chips for NIXIE tubes or any other funny tubes, not just LED displays. On the next page, we can see the input amplifiers and the pre-scalers and the trigger circuits with the JK flip-flops. And we can, of course, zoom in a little bit on the top left where we have this super fast pre-scaler. So there's a little amplifier chip, and then we have the two chips that is divided by 4 and divided by 4. And you can see the JK flip-flops. They control via a transistor the input to the two dividers. So this is for triggering and enable the clock counting. Here we zoom in on the low frequency range pre-amplifier, and then there is a multiplier you can bypass or not. But before we power it up, I think we should have a little look here at the back. It looks pretty much DIY solder technique. No cleaning or anything like that. Tons of modifications. Here we got some cut this track, and do a little flippity floppity signals here. And yeah, see a little wire there, some diodes. It's all over the place. And oh yeah, this little detail here, you're gonna cry a little bit. So here at the front, of course they had to put on a little bit of metal because this front here is plastic, right? So all this entry area here carefully shield and ground, and that is of course a good idea. But then what happens when the sticky stuff is not sticky anymore? Then you get short circuits down to stuff like that. Maybe this has also something to do with the way that they put the lid on. But see, if you just do like that and be careful, then it's fine. But if you put it in and then do this, and then you're gonna scrape it off. Well, that is a little bit silly. I think this is the first power up, and I'll just leave it in charge mode. And I think in this mode it will probably warm up the crystal oven. It's only using 2 watts, so I think this is just the idle for the mains transformer. And then we have a power off mode. Well, it's also 2 watts, and then we have power on. And there you have it, something. And what something is that? So what are we waiting for here? We can do the, no, we cannot do the check. So this one is doing something. This one is the one that, oh, reset. Okay. So reset seems to be working. Well, I got a little bit of light and lamps and stuff. I think we should just try and find some signals and put in and see if it's working now. I was a little bit worried about why it's not resetting. So I think we have a clock oscillator or some stuff that is not working. So we got good news. So I'm now using the pre-scaler input. You need to select that input like that. And, oh, that's funny. So that is the check. And here is the, I'm inputting 51 megahertz. And you can change the update like that. Maybe you can also go up here, and then it will probably take 10, yes, exactly. So it will take 10 seconds to count to 51 megahertz. And here it goes quite fast. So what else can we do? I think some of those switches here at the back is doing something with, no, it is not that, but this one is removing, see, that selects the radio or the internal clock. So the other input also seems to be working. I am inputting at the moment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kilohertz. So there's a little bit of jitter here, but that is my input frequency. And in this mode here, I'm of course using this input where they have some dividers, and that is why it takes a lot of time to go to get the, see, here we go. So that is how it is. So it actually works pretty good. I kind of like those 7 segments here. What we really can't see on the camera is the really, really nice and sharp and good looking contrast we have in this display, because it shines a little bit weird on my camera, but in reality you have a perfectly nice shiny red, and it's, yeah, a million times more beautiful in reality. Also, this oven lamp here is off, so I think the oven is nice and warm. So how warm is it? Can I touch this without burning my... Ooh, yo, 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 yo. That is warm, really warm. So of course a thermal camera is really, really good to show what is going on here with the oven. And I measure 63 Celsius on this crystal here. I can of course also use this to see the power. Oh, this is the rectifier, 70 Celsius. So there's probably a, oy, don't touch something that is 70 Celsius. That was real dumb, wasn't it? So that is probably why it's hanging all the way up there. Why would you do that? When you have all this aluminium, you can screw a nice little rectifier and then you don't have this problem. What else have we got that is warm? I really love those thermal cameras. They always provides me with all the insight of a design, what is going on, what have we that is good and the bad. But so far is, shouldn't poke my fingers here at the back. What else can we have a look at? We got this big hefty IC that is doing all the counting and good things. So maybe, no, it's not that bad. It's a tiny little chip here in the middle. That's only 36. And that will be the LED drivers running at 43. Nothing else. No. Yeah. If you want to see, can you see the pictures? It's a little bit out of focus. See if I enable my little macro I have on this camera. See? Now we can go real nice and close and get some really fascinating pictures. So that is really good. Look at that. I was able to poke around with camera settings, and now I have a picture that looks a little bit like how I see this in reality. Oh, that is nice. So I added a little cable holder and added a little bit of contact glue and made all this nice. And remember this insanely warm bridge rectifier. I added a little heat sink on that one. And of course it's still warm, but now it's under 60, 58, 59 or something like that. I just let this unit run a little bit so that we could see the temperature. But anyway, it did definitely help. Of course it's gonna be a lot better to put it on the metal here or something like that, but I didn't have all the time to that. I think I just wanted to be done with this frequency counter and to be happy. So I want to say thank you very much for watching and bye bye.
Bye.